Hey, everybody, this is TJR.
And this is Robert Kinsler.
And today we are going to talk about Record Store Day. We're going to talk about the list, and we're going to talk about what has caught our eye, what's interested us. First, let's talk just real quick. Let's just tell everybody Record Store Day is June 12th and July 17th. And of course, last year, because of COVID, Record Store Day was split into 3 days. This was to avoid crowds. Mm-hmm. And this year it's going to be 2 days. And I'm going to say something. I think even after COVID, it's a good idea for everybody, records retailers, the store retailers and the customers, to have Record Store Day spread out over 2 to 3 days. And I'm going to tell you why I think this. If it's all there on one drop day, you're forced to budget. And you have to say, okay, I can't get all this, but I can get this and this. Now, I know there's also going to be availability. There's going to be all that. But if it's over 2 to 3 days and they're a month apart, it's easier to budget and say, okay, on this month, I can budget this. And on this month, I can budget this. And I think as a result, customers will get more because they've got time in between to budget, and stores will sell more because they're giving customers a chance to budget a month apart from different days. So I honestly hope that Record Store Day will expand, keep that COVID situation, and have it spread out over 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, no, it makes sense to me. Can't argue with that.
Okay. So anyways, though, let's talk about first, before we talk about the list and what we've seen, a few other little things just to help everybody out there is I talked about Record Store Day just the other day, and I mainly talked about CD and vinyl. We're going to talk about that, you and I. But in the comments, a lot of people talked about exclusives and not being able to get what they want. And I thought I should mention that there's a difference between what's called a Record Store Day exclusive and a Record Store Day first release. If an album is a Record Store Day first release, it's coming first to Record Store Day, but then it will get a nationwide release, potentially several months later. You know, the time frame might vary. It might be 3 months, it might be 6 months, but it will eventually come nationwide. And a good example was there was a Music Worth Buying where I talked about the Elvis comeback special concert, the 2-disc vinyl. It initially was released on Record Store Day, on red vinyl, but then it got a nationwide release on standard vinyl. And I picked it up at that time. So I would encourage, if you are shopping, be sure to look and see whether or not it's Record Store Day first or exclusive. And sometimes even an exclusive release is still going to get a nationwide release. And a good example, one that we're both going to talk about, is the one from Garbage, their new album. That album is going to get a nationwide release, but it's getting released first to Record Store Day exclusively with a different artwork and on colored vinyl. That version is exclusive in that it's got different cover artwork and it's got colored vinyl, but that album will, of course, come out.
Well, exactly. I know I recently did a post on it on Rock and Roll Truth, and I think they even put out an advanced single. So I already posted that as well, and I know people can find that out there.
Yeah, and by the way, a good time to mention your blog page, Rock and Roll Truth, which we'll leave a link for, and because you talk about a lot of new releases that I don't get a chance to talk about on this channel, and that you and I don't even get a chance to talk about on Music Worth Buying. So I encourage everybody to go to Robert's blog, go to your blog, and just bookmark it, earmark it, whatever you got to do to keep up with new releases.
Yeah, I try to. Yeah, as I get big news that comes in, might be on Neil Young or Paul McCartney or reissues,
Yeah.
or, that kind of thing, or even advanced singles off
Yeah.
albums that are going to become. I try to get those posted on there and share the news with everyone.
It's a good resource. It's been a good resource for me because I've actually used your blog to find stuff. And then sometimes I talk about it here. So I encourage everybody to check out Robert's blog at Rock and Roll Truth, and we'll be leaving links for that.
And and important to say here, there's no paywall. The whole history of my writing going back to 2005 is there. So if you want to see who I saw and who I liked at Coachella back in 2005, like I know Keen played, I think, in Coldplay and so on, you can go back and read my stuff all the way back to 2005. Whereas if you go to the Register website, where I've done a long history of writing too, there you're going to be limited, or you're going to have to subscribe to the newspaper. But on Rock and Roll Truth, I'm not asking for anybody to sign in or anything like that. So it's there for all music fans to enjoy.
Yeah, that's another thing. And I didn't even mention that you've covered a lot of live performances too.
Right.
On that
Exactly.
website. So yeah, so check that out. Okay, so real quick, before we talk about the list, which we're both excited to talk about,
exactly.
I just wanted to mention one thing. We were discussing this right before we started shooting. I had mentioned there was a release by an artist that I thought you might be interested in. You said, no, I didn't see it. And that's when I thought I should mention that, when you look at that list, it's this kind of long, dizzying collection of black and orange.
Right, it is.
Colors with
page after page.
Exactly. And I discovered that at the top, when you go to the Record Store Day website and you click, you've got two versions of the list. You've got PDF and you've got web. If you go to web, on the upper left-hand side, there's a button that says images. And I didn't realize this at first. And maybe this is the first year they've done it. Maybe they've done it in previous years and I didn't know it. But if you click images, boom, you get the whole list for both days with cover art images, which is 100 times easier to look and see what you might be interested in, because you can miss stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And I'm glad you told me about that. I'm going to be, even after we shoot today, I'm going to be revisiting that and checking that out.
So I just wanted to pass that on. And now before we get to the fun part, let's talk about lack of CDs. This is something I talked about just the other day on the channel. And, I have slowly been getting into vinyl. You have primarily been still with CDs.
Primarily, right.
Yeah. You do have a turntable, but you've been very limited as far as your vinyl, and that's fine. There's nothing, we all have our preferences. I still like CDs too. And I still buy, I would say a good more than 50% of my purchases are still CDs. But there's a real lack of CDs, and I feel that audience is being ignored. And I feel that you're part of that audience. And I feel I am too. Even though I do buy a lot of vinyl, I still like CDs. I think your thoughts.
My thoughts. I mean, I'm thinking about some of the past Record Store Days. I know you talked about the Grace Potter live album. I think in particular too, I think actually you may have picked it up for me because I couldn't find it. There was a 3-disc CD set from Crowded House that came out, and one of my favorite releases. I think you picked it up for me somewhere, and then I paid you back, TJ. But then I've also, almost every year I've been at Coachella, they had a record, one of these temporary record stores set up, and I would go through there, and there was no way when it's 100 degrees at Coachella out in Indio, California, I'm going to be dealing with the Indio, and I'm having to walk. I had to walk typically about a mile away from where, no way I want to deal with hauling vinyl. So always there. So again, for many reasons, since the 80s, I've been gathering CDs, and I wasn't going to just get rid of all my CDs and try to replace them with vinyl. Vinyl, at least right now, is significantly more expensive, harder for me to store. But believe me, I love vinyl. I love some of the collectible attributes to it, the picture discs, and that's how I fell in love with music when I was a little kid, on using my parents' vinyl turntable there. So it has been, like you said, it has been a little hard watching no CD releases basically come out this year.
Yeah, there's just a couple.
I can
count them on one hand, I think.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, what do you think? Finances, as far as, is it just as far as why
I think
they're
maybe
limiting it?
I think the obviously with live streaming, with downloads and all that stuff, CDs are obviously become a very increasingly smaller part of, I think, the economic picture for the labels and the artists.
Uh-huh.
And vinyl, they've been able to excite fans and brought back this exciting format that had gone basically become extinct for the most part, and
Mhm.
now it's reemerged, and there's a lot of excitement. And all obviously with these, they can put these really beautiful, attractive packages together, whether it's a picture disc or just with the cover art and everything. And I understand kind of how come it's come back, you know, and a lot of people swear by the how great vinyl sounds too as well. So, you know, on a really high end turntable. So, you know, I understand that, but it would be nice if they would have maybe, you know, some exclusive
Some.
CD. Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of major ones, at least some of the more major artists, should at least have an accompanying CD version, maybe. Of course, if it's gonna, like, there's gonna be one release that we're gonna talk about in a moment. I'm gonna wait,
Uh-huh.
where I know it's gonna get a nationwide release, and it'll be out on CD.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
It's gonna show up eventually.
Exactly.
Um, anyways, okay. So with that out of the way, let's talk about some of the releases that we're personally looking forward to possibly getting. And
Okay.
you want to go first?
Sure, I can. There's two because I'm wondering if one of the ones that I
Mhm.
saw that you might be interested in
Mhm.
getting as well. And like I said, all this is, you know, a crapshoot because we don't know if we'll be able to actually find it because
Yeah.
the quantities on these are very, very limited. And I think one of the releases that I'm going to mention, I think it's like maybe 1,000 or 1,500 copies
Mhm.
across the whole country. So going to be very difficult to find that one. But one of the ones I thought looked really interesting, even for people that maybe don't even have a turntable, is the I guess this deluxe reissue of Beck's album Hyperspace. It's limited to 1,500 copies, and it's going to have the cover is going to be a holographic etching, and it is exclusive to, I guess, the release on this date. That's coming out on June 12th. And I guess it said, I read on the Record Store Day website, Beck has partnered with NASA for visual space missions tied to tracks from the album. And there are several bonus tracks on the LP too that didn't come out on the original album when it came out in 2019. And that looks really, if I saw that, you know, at a record store, I would definitely grab that one. There's no doubt about it.
And I want to comment on that one too, because that's on my list. Now,
Okay.
I actually gave that album a kind of so-so review.
Uh-huh.
It came out. I liked some of the tracks on it, but it was the first like time I felt a bit disappointed by Beck, that album. However, though, since I have yet to purchase a copy of it, if I can get it, this version, I'm going to go with it because there's the extra tracks and the exclusivity of it.
Okay.
I'm a Beck fan. I've been stopped being a Beck fan just because one of his albums was a bit disappointing for me.
Right.
I'll just wish him better luck on the next one.
No, and I can back you up. I know ever since we've been shooting Music Worth Buying, which has been over a decade now. I mean, you've always been, and you got into Beck much before I did, and I'm a big fan. I've actually seen him in Canada now. I've seen him in Las Vegas. I've seen him quite a few. Seen him at Coachella, but I've become more and more excited and impressed by his body of work, and in many ways, he's kind of like the spirit of some of the greats from the 60s, like the Beatles, where he's not afraid to go into different genres, work with different artists and stuff. And he does it very convincingly in all you know, like you said, he might be stronger in one area but I mean, who else kind of can do dance music and Americana and do it very credibly both? I
Yeah,
mean,
I agree.
he's really a unique artist for our time.
So that is one. And you're right. That is going to be exclusive to Record Store Day. However, while we're on this topic, I have no doubt that these extra tracks will make their way to streaming at some point in the future. I've seen that repeated over and over again, especially a lot of these exclusive 7-inch singles, 12-inch singles where there's exclusive tracks or exclusive versions. Eventually, I've seen them make their way to streaming. So even if you can't own it, in time, I believe you'll be able to get to hear it at least. I wanted to put that out there. anyways, go ahead. What else do you have on yours?
And then, well, and I didn't know if we're breaking it down by date, but the other release coming out on June 12th, and everyone out there that's been watching our shows for a while knows I'm a huge Zombies fan. They're in my probably top 5 favorite bands of all time. They have a 180 gram black vinyl release coming out called Oddities and Extras, and we'll show that on the screen. And it's a collection of rare singles and UK only album tracks that have come out. And it also has some, I guess, some new liner notes from historical producer and engineer Andrew Sandoval, who's kind of recognized as an expert on the band. So I think that sounds, you know, as somebody that's a huge fan of the Zombies, that sounds pretty exciting as well to me. I don't know if that was on your radar as well, TJ.
Not on my radar, but I did notice it, and I figured this is going to be on Robert's radar. But I wanted to ask you, since you're much more familiar and you've got other collections and other albums by theirs, this particular collection, has this been previously released on CD, or is this a new collection?
It actually, Oddities and Extras was technically a part of their complete studio recordings, which was a 5 LP set that came out a few years ago, maybe just a year or so ago. So apparently they've pulled it out, but I believe the artwork might be unique. And so I think it's a chance for people that maybe they've already had, like, let's say they already own Odyssey and Oracle and some of their other albums. This is a chance for them just to get this disc with those real rare tracks on it. And so it's obviously for, you know, and we know this because we all have friends that are hardcore collectors, for people that kind of want to get everything by a band. And the Zombies don't have all that much music, really. This is very exciting. Maybe the last thing I want to talk about at that release, and I don't know any more than you do, but I saw that Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, another band I absolutely love, they are scheduled to release something new on that date, but it's to be announced. They have on a white cover, and they said that they don't have the details yet. I looked right before we shot today, and there's still no details on it. So by the time we post this episode, very well we may not know. But I'm a huge fan of him. I saw him. I unfortunately never got to see Oasis, but I did see Noel Gallagher at Coachella one year, and he just blew me away. And I've since gone back and kind of collected all Oasis's recordings and his solo recordings with High Flying Birds. And I'm kind of curious, is that maybe going to be a new album or something? We don't know yet.
Okay. That's interesting that they haven't announced it.
Yeah.
Now, what's
on your radar?
Okay, let me talk about what's on my radar. So I've got a couple things here now. One thing is I have a bunch of stuff that I've kind of like bookmarked that I'm curious about. Doesn't mean I'm going to get it, partly because of availability, partly because of budgeting. I kind of take a Zen approach to this where I show up, I look and see what's there, I see what's not there, and I make a choice. Okay, what do I want to get? But as far as some of the things I'm thinking about, Ani DiFranco's first album is getting an exclusive vinyl release. I don't think it's ever been released on vinyl before, and it's going to be a 2 LP, which means it'll be probably a bit more expensive. But you know, this is exclusive to Record Store Day, apparently. That one intrigues me a great deal because I do like her a lot. Another one here. This is going to be a Record Store Day first release. This will be from Elton John, Regimental Sergeant Zippo, which was going to be his second album. It was going to be his album that would come out after Empty Sky. This is intriguing. I'm from what I can see, most of these tracks have already been released on the recent Jewel Box set under, you know, the rarities, unreleased stuff, demos. Most of these tracks, if not all of them, are already on that set. But this will get a nationwide release, however. So it's kind of like, okay, it's coming to Record Store Day first. It's probably going to have something about it that makes it exclusively different, and that maybe it'll be on colored vinyl. You know, a few Record Store Day years ago, I bought the Elton John Live from Moscow set that came to Record Store Day first. It came on colored vinyl. It later got released nationwide on CD, standard vinyl, Blu-ray, and all that, you know. But I did pick up that one that year. This is one that if I might get it, but I might also say, hey, it's going to get a nationwide release, and it will probably be less expensive then. So we'll see. But I am curious to hear it regardless, though.
Yeah.
In the order that it's, even if these songs have already been on Jukebox, if nothing else, I'm still curious just to hear it in its proper sequence, and just think about, this could have been his second album. This could have been the album that came out before the self-titled Elton John album that had your song on it. That was
pretty exciting for an artist of his magnitude, that you're basically getting this lost classic all these years later. I mean, that's kind of exciting.
It is, in my opinion. And Elton John loves Record Store Day. He loves vinyl. And he's done some interesting things. There was one year where he released, I can never remember the title of it. There was an album he released during the 70s that was a live album. I think it was called 11/7/71. Correct me if I'm wrong, or something like that. It just had a date on it, and it's a killer release. But he released an expanded version of that album to Record Store Day exclusively. He has never released this on CD, but it's expanded. It's more than twice as long as the original CD. And that one, that year, I went to 3 different stores trying to get that one, and I did manage to get it.
Great.
So yeah, so that was more of an exclusive thing. There's one that intrigues me. It's called The Dragsters. Jim Messina and His Jesters. I discovered this one by looking at the list, but Jim Messina, before Buffalo Springfield, before working with Kenny Loggins, apparently had a surf band. And and they did these cool, surf numbers, instrumental stuff. And I had no idea this existed. This is going to be released on CD and vinyl. So, and I actually found out you can listen to this. It's already available on streaming. I found it on Tidal and I listened to it. It's pretty cool. This is one I might get, might not get. I might just choose to get it on CD, because they have remastered this, given it a new remastering. So that I like that idea. Like you, I'm very curious about that Beck release. I will be looking for it. Another one is, I'm thinking about it. Garbage has a new album. We talked about that one.
Right.
Where it's coming out with an alternate cover. It's coming out on pink vinyl, but it will get a nationwide release. So that's one that's just, it's on my radar. We'll see what happens.
All right. But if you miss it, at least you can get the album proper after.
Afterwards. Rage Against the Machine, The Battle of Mexico City. This is a live album. This album is available currently, but it's the first time on vinyl from what I see here. It's an exclusive. That's one. Tom Petty, Angel Dream, songs and music from the motion picture She's the One. This will get a nationwide release. It's just a Record Store Day first release. That one intrigues me. Another Record Store Day first release, Prince, The Truth. This will get a nationwide release. It's just Record Store Day first. And it's being called an acoustic album, even though there are electric instruments. And you can listen to this one on streaming. Okay. And it's him doing a lot of his songs very stripped down, ones that he's already done. Now, here are 2 that really intrigue me. Steely Dan will be releasing, and these are exclusive, 2 Against Nature and Everything Must Go. These albums were originally only released on CD. And I wasn't too happy with either of these albums, I'll be honest. But I have oftentimes wondered if these albums were victims of the loudness war. They were victims of overcompression from the time they came out initially. So I have a feeling these being exclusive items will be expensive. I'm already counting on it.
Yeah, I bet.
I don't know if I want to sink the money into 2 albums that I did not care for, just to see if they don't sound completely different on vinyl. But it wouldn't be the first time that's happened.
Yeah.
Elton John's Captain and the Kid album, I think came out in 2000. I listened to it like 10 or 11 times and just thought, wow, this is just boring. This is just a boring album. Then I heard it on a used vinyl, body used vinyl, and thought, wow, this album sounds great.
Right.
Big difference, because it was a victim of the loudness wars.
Right. Exactly.
So those 2, I've earmarked them. I don't know,
one that available and what it's going to set you back.
Exactly. It all depends on what I encounter that day. I take a very zen approach to it. The Who, Face Dances, 40th anniversary. I love this album.
Yeah, great album.
This is also a Record Store Day first release. It will be released nationwide. It will have some bonus tracks. I don't know if the bonus tracks will be available on the national release or not. I'm guessing it will. Mm-hmm. But once again, I always feel like these bonus tracks eventually make their way nationwide.
Yeah.
Just on streaming, if nothing else. And now here is one that if I see it, I'm probably for sure going to get it. Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, Deja Vu Alternates. Mm-hmm. Now, this is an alternate version of Deja Vu, the classic album by CSNY, which is getting a big 50th anniversary re-release. I've already talked about it.
Right.
And I am positive, without even looking, that every single track on this alternate version will be on the big box set, the CD box set that I'm intending to get. But this isn't exclusive. It's basically alternate versions of each track on the album in track order on this version, alternate version of them with an alternate cover. If I see it, I'm probably going to get it. And just because I think it's just I just love the cool idea of that.
Yeah.
And honestly, CSNY for this remaster, they should have done a 2 CD edition, which they're not doing. Mm-hmm. And the 2 CD edition should have been the remaster on CD and this alternate version as a second CD.
Exactly.
Should have done that.
Yeah.
I think they were dumb not to do that. I'm going to say it here, but if I see this, I'm probably going to get it.
Yeah.
And let me see, was there anything else that that was it. Those were the ones that caught my eye.
And the only one I want to mention is Blixa Sounds is releasing, this is way under the radar, but it's the Beat Farmers Glad and Greasy, which is coming out at the July 17th date. And it's a live EP that was only released in the UK and never on vinyl in the United States. And it includes the band performing their version of Neil Young's Powderfingers. And that one, just because the Beat Farmers, just a really cool band that I used to see back in the day. And that one appeals to me as well. But I think it's, like you said, very limited quantities on this one. So we'll have to see what's out there and how early I can get up.
Yeah, exactly. How early you want to get up.
Yeah.
To go check this out, stand in line or wait till it opens. Even if you wait till the store is open, they're probably going to have lines.
At least we're not just thinking, oh, there's just one release that we want. There's a lot of things we didn't even mention that are really appealing when you just go through that list. And like I think the Fix Reach the Beach, that's another one of those albums that I just absolutely love, and I know that has a special edition coming out. And some Monkees releases, and I think Doors, I saw the Doors on the list, and Janis Joplin. There's all kinds of great stuff here.
There is, released by the Doors. It's basically it's taken from the recent anniversary re-release.
Okay.
This will be exclusive in that this features the alternate rare demo tracks, all of that on just a single vinyl record.
Okay.
No, on 2 vinyl records, excuse me, on 2 vinyl records. So I looked at that, but I think to myself personally, what I would buy instead would just be I think it was the 45th anniversary package, which is I think it's 2 CDs and a vinyl. It's 2 CDs and a vinyl record. The original album, the alternate demos, all of that stuff on the second CD, and then the vinyl of the album plus the booklet.
And it's probably just it's probably 50th anniversary, probably not 45th when the Doors.
You may be right. Yeah, like I said, we're old.
The time is,
we're going off our memories.
Hey, when we started the show, it would have been the 40th anniversary. Now it's the 50th anniversary.
There you go. For this video, I'd just like to ask everybody to just tell us what has intrigued you, what you're interested in, what your thoughts are, what your plans are. And I don't know. And maybe there's some way that that music fans can petition Record Store Day to petition the labels or whoever, to just do more CD releases. Someone said, well, it's called Record Store Day, but in the past, CDs have played a bigger part in it. They always have in the past. And I wish they would continue that. Anyways, though, but so this was fun talking about this stuff. It was good to hear what you're excited about. And
the same to you. Yeah, it's a lot of great stuff.
We'll see what happens. Hopefully we can do a video together where we talk about what we picked up, what happened, our experiences, like you said.
Show and tell, right?
Exactly. Show and tell. So everybody, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click like, click subscribe, smash that bell notification icon. Also, I want to thank everybody who shares these videos on social media, and want to thank the patron supporters who give that extra level of support. Everybody, thank you so much for watching, and we hope you all stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.